He was doubted, booed, even rejected by his own fans. But one night, under the pouring rain, in enemy territory, everything changed. This is the story of how Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just win the game, he won every heart in Madrid. And he did it the only way he knows how, silently, completely, and on his own terms. The city that didn't clap. The day he landed in Madrid, it didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like a transaction. The cameras were there, the reporters swarmed, and the fans screamed. But it all felt too polished, like they were there for the moment, not the man. He wore the white jersey for the first time that afternoon. Number 9. Not 7. That belonged to Raul. Inside, he felt it, a strange silence. Not disrespect, just distance. He was the most expensive player in history. 94 million euros. Expectations didn't just rest on his shoulders, they crushed them. Training was different. The sun was hotter. The players were colder. Kaká was nice. Benzema barely spoke. Casillas didn't even look his way. Ramos watched him with narrowed eyes, like he was still trying to figure out if Ronaldo was real or just hype. His first few games were quiet. Not bad. But not him. The goals came, but slowly. The chemistry? Off. The rhythm? Broken. And the fans? They clapped, but with restraint. As if saving full applause for someone who hadn't arrived yet. Then came the press. Selfish. Doesn't pass enough. Not a team player. Trying too hard. He didn't answer. But at night, he thought about it. Back in Madeira, goals were joy. In England, they were respect. But here, they were debt payments. He started showing up to training earlier. Leaving later. Lifting heavier. Studying more. But still, after each match, some voices grew louder. Then one game, against Osasuna, the booing started. Not from rivals. From his own. He froze. For a second, he felt 13 again, on a dirt field, being called names by older kids who thought he was weak because he cried when he missed. But he didn't cry now. He clenched his jaw, adjusted his socks, and stared into the stands. And that night, he made a promise, not to them. Not to Madrid. Not even to Sir Alex. To himself. They won't clap today. But one day, they'll rise. The whistle that broke him. It started small. A murmur in the crowd. A pause between touches. But by the 5th game, it wasn't subtle anymore. Every time he got the ball, whistles rained from the stands. They weren't just noise. They were rejection. And not from opponents, from his own fans. It stung more than he thought it would. Back in Manchester, he had been booed by rivals, hated even, but never doubted by his own. Here in Madrid, he felt like a stranger in his own home. He'd pass the ball and still hear it. He'd shoot and still hear it. It didn't matter what he did. Whistles. After one match, a journalist asked, "Do you think you're worth the money?" He smiled politely. "I'll prove it." But that night in the locker room, he sat alone longer than usual. He untied his boots slowly, like the game was still holding onto him. His teammates left. No one said much. Even the silence felt judgmental. At home, he didn't turn on the TV. He didn't need to. He already knew what they were saying. That he was all flash. No substance. That he wasn't Madrid material. That he'd never be one of them. He opened his notebook. The one he'd carried from Lisbon to Manchester to here. He flipped back through pages. Notes. Goals. Quotes from Sir Alex. His mother's handwriting. One line caught his eye. Sometimes, they need to break you before they believe you. The next morning, he arrived 2 hours before training. The janitor was still unlocking the gym doors. He started with sprints, then weights, then finishing drills. Alone. When the team arrived, he was already drenched in sweat, hitting volleys into an empty net. They watched. No one said anything. But something shifted. That weekend, against Villarreal, he didn't score. But he ran harder than anyone. Chased down every ball. Pressed like a man possessed. At full time, he walked off the pitch with his chest heaving. The scoreboard said 0-0. But the boos were quieter. That night, Zidane, who had been watching from the stands, walked into the locker room. He said nothing. Just walked over, looked Ronaldo in the eye, and nodded once. That was it. No headline. No applause. But for Ronaldo, it was everything. Because in that one silent gesture, he knew the tide was turning. He still wasn't loved. But now, they were watching. And that was enough. For now. The night Madrid stopped booing. The match was supposed to be routine. Midweek, cold evening, a bottom table team. Nothing special. But for Ronaldo, it was a storm waiting to be unleashed. The press had been relentless all week. He can't deliver in big moments. Madrid needs more than stepovers. Maybe the jersey's too heavy for him. He read every line. He remembered every face. That night, as he laced his boots, he didn't speak. The locker room buzzed with small talk, but he sat still. Focused. Calm, but not quiet. Like a bomb counting down. The tunnel was humid. The kind of air that clings to your skin and makes every breath feel like it matters. He looked up into the stands, packed, glowing, expectant. He wondered, would they whistle again? Would they cheer if he scored? Would they ever really accept him? The whistle blew. First touch, crisp. First sprint, electric. And then, the tackle. Hard. Dirty. No foul. He hit the ground, rolled, popped back up. No complaints. Just revenge in his veins. Minutes later, the ball came again. Left side. Defender closing. He didn't hesitate. One fake. Two. A shoulder dip. Then he was gone. Past one, past two. A third came late, too late. Ronaldo shot. Back of the net. He didn't celebrate. He didn't smile. He just stood there, arms wide, staring at the crowd. The stadium froze. Then something rare happened. Applause. Real applause. Loud. Heavy. Honest. Even the fans who had booed him last week were clapping now. The commentators didn't know what to say. One of them finally whispered, "Tonight, he arrived." But Ronaldo wasn't done. Second half, 63rd minute, another run, this time through the middle. 1-2 pass. He didn't even look up. He knew where the goal was. Bang. Top corner. He turned to the crowd again, not in anger, not in arrogance, but with a quiet demand, "See me now." And they did. That match ended 3-0. He scored 2. Assisted the third. But more than that, he silenced the noise. In the locker room, someone tossed him a water bottle and said, "Took you long enough." He grinned. I like making people wait. Later that night, he checked his phone. A single text from his mother. Now they clap. I always did. He smiled, locked the screen, and leaned back. That night, for the first time in weeks, he slept deeply. Not because he had proven them wrong, but because he had finally proven himself right. The day he played for the badge. It was El Clasico. The match that stopped the country. Maybe the world. Barcelona versus Real Madrid. Messi versus Ronaldo. Blue and red versus white and gold. But for Ronaldo, this one wasn't about goals, or rivalry, or proving anything. This one was personal. 3 days before the game, he got a call. His sister was in the hospital. Nothing fatal, but serious enough that his mother's voice trembled on the phone. "Don't come," she said. "We're fine. Focus." But he wasn't fine. He barely slept. Barely ate. But he trained. Harder than usual. Like the field was the only place he could breathe. The day of the match, the Santiago Bernabéu felt different. Like everyone knew this wasn't just a game. He walked out last. Head down. Eyes sharp. The crowd roared, but it sounded like static. All he could hear was his own heartbeat. First half was war. Fouls, shouts, near fights. Messi scored first. The stadium quieted. Barcelona taunted. Then halftime. In the locker room, he didn't speak. Just sat there, breathing slow. Carlo Ancelotti came over. "You good?" Ronaldo nodded once. "Better than ever." Second half. Minute 57. Corner kick. Modric sent it in. Ronaldo jumped, not just higher than his marker, but like he had springs in his soul. Header. Net. Tie game. He didn't celebrate. He didn't have the energy. But the fans did. And for a moment, the noise covered everything. Then came the moment. Minute 78. Counterattack. Benzema to Di Maria. Di Maria to Ronaldo. 1 touch. 2. Defender lunging. Ronaldo chipped it. Over the keeper. Into the net. 2-1. He stood still. Arms by his side. Face calm. Then he looked up. To the press box. He knew his mother was watching from there. He tapped the badge on his chest. Once. And mouthed, "For her." No scream. No show. Just truth. That night, as he walked off the pitch, the crowd chanted not just his name, but something more powerful. Cristiano Madridista. Back in the locker room, Ramos slapped his back. "You just became one of us." He didn't reply. Just pulled out his phone. No texts. Just a photo. His sister, smiling from a hospital bed, holding a scarf that said, "My brother doesn't play for the cheers. He plays for the badge." He stared at it for a while. Then saved it. Not in his gallery, but in his heart. The night they all believed. The Champions League semifinal. Bayern Munich. The Allianz Arena. Rain pouring like the sky wanted in on the fight. It was Ronaldo's biggest night yet. Not because of the opponent. Not because of the stakes. But because this was the night the world either believed in him or moved on. For weeks, they'd said he couldn't carry Madrid in Europe. That he was a La Liga player, not a European one. That Messi had that crown. He'd heard it all. And he remembered. The game started like war. Fast, violent, with no room for nerves. Bayern pressed hard. Madrid defended deeper than usual. Ronaldo barely touched the ball in the first 20 minutes. Then it happened. Cross from Marcelo. Deflection. Ball dropped awkwardly just outside the box. Ronaldo didn't think. He struck. The shot curved, not wildly, but like it knew where it needed to go. Top corner. 1-0. The stadium gasped. He didn't celebrate. Just jogged back slowly, glancing toward the away section. But it wasn't over. Second half. Bayern equalized. The crowd erupted. Madrid looked tired. The rain got heavier. Then came the moment. Minute 83. Counterattack. Di Maria broke down the left. Looked up. Ronaldo was sprinting like he had fresh legs, like gravity had let go for a second. The pass came. Low. Fast. Wet. Ronaldo didn't stop. He slid, full speed, soaked, fearless. The ball kissed his boot and flew under the keeper. 2-1. He jumped up, fists clenched. This time, he screamed. The kind of scream that came from every missed opportunity. Every whistle. Every doubt. The kind of scream that says, "Now you believe me." And they did. Even the Bayern fans clapped as he walked off later, substituted with a minute to go. In the locker room, soaked to the bone, he sat alone again. But this time, not in silence. One by one, his teammates came over. Pat on the back. Hand on the shoulder. Smiles that meant something. Even the coach said, "Tonight, you weren't just great. You were undeniable." On the flight back to Madrid, he looked out the window. Not at the stars, but at his reflection. And for the first time in months, he saw what everyone else finally saw. Not just Cristiano, but the man Real Madrid had been waiting for. He closed his eyes. Not to sleep, but to dream. Bigger. From the shadows of doubt to the spotlight of glory, this was one of the nights that defined a legend. If you felt inspired, if you felt that fire in your chest just watching him rise, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we uncover more untold stories behind the name Cristiano Ronaldo. Until next time, remember, greatness doesn't ask for permission, it shows up.